Hello folks and welcome to Tippcast with myself, Shane Stapleton, and the head of sport in the Nina Guardian, Shane Brophy. Shane, plenty happened over the weekend. Tipperary football, we knew eventually Tip were going to get knocked out. It hadn't been a great group stage. Got a late victory over Wexford, then 8-point loss to Limerick at the weekend. And Paul Kelly, after just 1 year in charge, has stepped down. Now we're going to have Anthony Shelly on the show fairly soon to talk about it, but were you shocked when you heard of this?
Not particularly, no. I suppose the year didn't go. It didn't go to plan at all. And I suppose the fact that he was a late appointment. Look, I think he deserves a bit of I suppose credit on that score. And he didn't get a chance to get a full pre-season into the lads and maybe get his point across. But look, once the results and performances started to fall, and failing to beat Waterford twice in both the league and championship, and not able to beat London, and I suppose when things like that happen, and then I suppose we were hanging our hat on that Longford result in the league, and of course when you see how much Longford struggled in the Tailteann Cup too, you think, okay, that result didn't carry much water either. Look, I thought myself that there was a chance he would probably stay on and it looked like the players were with him. There was very few defections after the Munster Championship loss to Waterford. When you see things like that happening and you have a 5-week gap, there can be a bit of a time there maybe for players maybe to step away. But to a large extent, the core group stayed together and they stayed competitive. I was in Belfast. I thought they played pretty well that day. But then a lot of the games Tipperary played well in this year, Stephen O'Brien was on the field, and Stephen O'Brien has been missing more often than not. We're at a stage now where we can't be without key players. He was missing again last week against Limerick. The match was tight enough, 2-3 points in it for a lot of it. Limerick pulled away to win by 8, but there was an awful lot of, I know Anthony will probably talk about when he comes on, there was a lot of last-ditch blocks to prevent goals. It could have been an awful lot worse as well. Look, it probably, in some ways, Anthony or Paul stepping away, it avoids it's avoided a situation maybe for the football board to potentially maybe having to move him on after a year if that's what they were thinking. So look, it saves them. But then now with him stepping away, they've got to go and try and find a new manager when they found it so difficult to get a manager when Paul took the job last year. Yeah,
and then I'm wondering, whoever comes in, are any of their panelists going to be poached maybe by the hurling side of things? We've kind of seen that before, and going back to the drawing board, then it's going to be a difficult job. Just in terms of some of the lads who did the scoring the other day against Limerick, Sean O'Connor scored 5, 3 of those were frees. Paddy Feehan scored 1-1, Peter McGarry 2, Teddy Doyle and Stephen Quirk scored 1 apiece. Just in terms of the match itself and the quality of football, I'm not sure if you got to see the whole thing, Shane, but
no, I wasn't there. I was listening to it on local radio. But look, we only scored 1. Scoring has been a big problem this year. Only 1-10 is not going to win matches. Even the week before against Wexford, we only scored 3-5. That's been, we got away with it that day. With Wexford missed an awful lot of chances that day too. They'll be kicking themselves that maybe that was a game they left behind them too. But look, you can't the players. You can't say that any of the players were funking it out there. They were giving it their best, but I just think they were a long way off showing their full potential throughout the whole year.
Okay, well look, I'd say Anthony Shelly joins us. Anthony, before we get on to Paul Kelly stepping away, just the performance at the weekend. What points would you make about it? Ended up an 8-point loss.
Yeah, and it could have been worse. Limerick played against a strong breeze in the first half. Got 20 shots at goal, but only within a point up. I think we were 4 or 5 points down when Paddy Feehan got a cracker of a goal, and you knew with Limerick in the having that strong win, and it was a 4 or 5 point win in the second half, that we were going to be in trouble, and that's kind of how it turned out. We did have a little period of dominance where we probably left a goal and 2 points behind us, but overall, Limerick were just simply a better team, Shane, and their last 2 points of the game, they were straight through goal, 1-on-1 with Evan Comerford, and they just punched it over the bar. So it could have actually been worse. They just took their points instead of going for the goal. So, but as Shane was saying there, it's not for the lack of effort from the lads, but we do have a problem in transitioning the ball quickly to our forwards. And plus the fact that, when we do turn it over, there is an 80 or 90 yard gap between our defence and Sean O'Connor up at full forward. And as you know, as the game goes on, we do get some nice moves going at times, but as the game goes on, there's only so many 80-yard runs you can make in a game. And, that I thought that was a problem all year, that we found it hard to score, and probably due to the way we set up.
Yeah, and just in terms of the team, Stephen O'Brien, he was, had to pull out from the published team, and then you had other injuries to Conor Sweeney, Colm O'Shaughnessy and Cathal Deely. Did you get, Stephen, after watching that performance, or sorry, Anthony, just in terms of Paul Kelly stepped down, was there any great shock as far as you were concerned?
Well, not as far as I was concerned. I was surprised he did it immediately after the game. I think there was going to have to be a full review at the end of the year, and maybe it was a bit extravagant having three people from Kildare, Wicklow, in charge of the team. The balance of power in tip football was up in Kildare, and that never really sat well with me, because I think the two tip selectors. I know Mick O'Sullivan is a Kildare man originally, but he's here so long we consider him one of our own now. Himself and Paul Fitzgerald are two good lads, and I think they could flourish in a different setup. But I think they were being outvoted all of the time, and there was rumblings there that some of the backroom team mightn't have stayed on. They're all rumours, but when you hear the rumours constantly, you'd say, well, there's no smoke without fire. So definitely there would have to be a change in the backroom setup for next year, and maybe Paul said, "Here, I'll just go." It's hard to know, but I wasn't surprised he left myself.
And do you feel like this is a huge blow to Tipperary, or do you feel like a line in the sand needed to be drawn anyway?
I think a line in the sand needed to be drawn. I see it anything but a huge blow to Tipperary. I think it's a huge opportunity now for somebody to come in. I think I said it the other night, where we can't go any lower. This is as low as we've been in a long, long time. So the only way is up. And there are still the makings of a very, very decent team there. We have 8 or 9 lads, without going through names, but we have 8 or 9 lads fighting for 6 positions in the back line, and no matter what 6 you pick, they'll all do a good job. We have a lot of midfield players, right? None of them might be of, if you had Stephen back and that, we have a lot of midfield players. And did I lose you there, lads?
No. Yeah.
Oh, we lost him now. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the players he's talking about there, Shane, do you look at that and think, as he's saying, there's an opportunity from here on?
I do. I sometimes I think I can get enamored with maybe how many years a guy gets to manage a team. But if you feel after 1 year that it's just there's no point in pursuing it any further. And look, I suppose Paul has decided that for himself, that he doesn't feel that he's the man for the job, or maybe he doesn't feel that maybe the background or the support is there for him to improve the thing. Look, you're probably better off just to part ways and start again. And as I said to you, maybe Shane off air, there is a sort of the Conor O'Dwyer would have headed up the search last year. We have he's not the football board chairman this year. And Fergal McDonald, isn't it? Or He's in charge now. So look, that's a fresh person at the top of the football committee. Look, I do think it's time for a bit of a, and I think this is an opportunity, and I some ways it's similar to the hurlers. Like, can we get people in a room that care about Tipperary football? And I know Anthony had referenced the meeting he was at back in 2018, 2019 that John Owens called, where I got a lot of the big hitters in Tip together, that they were really, and look, nothing ever came of it. But I think the opportunity is there, because I think we have to start with youngsters, and I would be very enthused by what I saw at under 20 level. I thought Niall Fitzgerald had his group very organised. They knew how to play. Look, they were very competitive against Cork and Kerry. I thought our minors started out the championship pretty well, maybe fell away towards the end. But again, I thought they were well coached, well organised. So like, we have a lot, I think we have a lot of the basics. We have the platform to build on, like to improve. Like we still have a core of good senior players there. If we can get Stephen O'Brien fit, get Mark Russell fit, maybe get an extra year or two out of Connor Sweeney and just his experience. Maybe some of the guys that stepped away this year might be available next year. We just don't know. Like, so I do think we're sort of at a point where it could do with a real good core of Tip football people getting together and say, okay, what do we need to do now?
And after the game, Anthony, Paul Kelly was talking about the importance of strength and development within Tipperary, and he goes, S&C and athletic performance is not built on 6 or 9 months. It's built on 12 months of the year, so to speak. Maybe there's a bit to go there. You could see the benefit of Adrian O'Brien's work with Limerick over the years. On the flip side, S&C is an area where more needs to be done on a continuous basis. The development of a strategy would be quite important going forward from a club perspective, because club is where it all starts. That strategy, aligned properly, brings forward the right type of player and the right build of player, rather than trying to fix it afterwards. What would you think of those comments?
Just before Anthony answers that, my last point will be Adrian O'Brien. He should be tied down right now. Doesn't matter who is going to be the manager or going forward. He nearly should be, okay, you're staying, whatever you need. Because like he's gold standard as far as I'm concerned with what he's done with Limerick, what he's done with Clare hurlers. I think he should be tied down straight away and say whoever manager comes in, you're working with him, and that's it. Absolutely,
couldn't agree more. From talking to the players, he's very, very impressive. They all love going training for because of Adrian. Very a nice fella as well, apparently. So and top class. So that's the first thing the football board need to do is to tie down Adrian. As in to Paul Kelly's comments, sure, I think it's a problem Tip GAA all around with S&C. I think myself, we probably spent too much time in the gym and not on the strength and conditioning and the things, and not enough time on the athletic development end of things. And
what do you mean by that, Anthony? We just tease that out for us just a little.
Right. Well, in football, you probably don't need to be as big as you think you need. You don't need strength, because you're always told don't take the ball into contact. So it'd be far more that's fitter at running for what a better way of putting it. And we don't do that underage. It's not an easy thing, and I'm sure we're not doing too much different to other counties. Like the guys meet in underage. They meet 3 times, or they meet in 3 hubs around the county on a Tuesday night, and that's supervised. That's gym work, and then they're given a running program that they do unsupervised. And I think we need to get them together underage and have that running program, be it in the track and Templemore or whatever. But I think you always train better in a group. And we're not. If you go to, I've been to Jim Power and Humphrey Kelleher tournaments, and like size wise, 14, 15, 16, size wise, we're not any different to the Kerrys or Cork or anything like that, right? Particularly Cork, obviously, would have the odd genetic anomaly, but a which we never seem to have. But size-wise we're not, but definitely in athletic ability, they always seem to be able to pull away. They always seem fitter. They always pull away from us in the last 15 minutes. While we're blowing hard, they're still going. And there's something wrong. And I'd be far from an expert, but there's something wrong in the way we're developing players athletically. Nothing, as I said, we're as big and as strong as any of them. Even at senior level, you see, we're not, right, we have one or two small lads, but we're not that far off in size wise, but we are athletically, and I think that's the one that we need to concentrate on. It's hard now, lads are going back to their club. Not every club will have an S&C, so do the football board need to step in and say, we'll give Adrian O'Brien a few pounds to look after the lads that don't have an S&C, like lads from the smaller junior clubs or whatever, and to work with them for over the summer. Don't know, there's a serious body of work to be looked at there.
Do you know what? I can't help but think, and I can throw this back to both of you, like, as you mentioned that the type of S&C you're doing, and like, I suppose in a way, how much do you need to be built for hits now in Gaelic football? You obviously need a certain amount, but there's a lad, like, so the club I'm managing in Dublin, and he was a dual player, but he's just playing football now, and there's so many league games in Dublin, 26 if you can believe it, between the two codes. And my selector was just asking him, would you not come back and play a bit of hurling? And he was like, the body wouldn't be able for all those hits in hurling. And I thought, well, surely the hits are in football. And then he was talking about that generally in football now, you get the ball, the other team retreats, and you're playing in front of the team over and back across the field. And then obviously someone tries to punch through eventually. But it's kind of interesting. Like, it felt like 10 years ago, Anthony, that you're constantly, going in for big hits and trying to break tackles. Whereas now the idea of needing the strength to break tackles, it almost feels a little bit like yesterday's game.
Yeah, 10 years ago when we were growing up, you always say you get more hits out of football than you would out of hurling. Like, you just get a few cuts out of hurling, but you definitely more hits out of football. But not anymore. As you say, the teams are retreating. Yeah, you're coming up half the pitch basically unchallenged. And strangely enough, in hurling now, the teams are taking it into contact without, and then releasing the ball or throwing the ball or whatever way. But yeah, there's definitely more hits in hurling now than there are in football.
Yeah,
so I think you don't need to be as big as what you would have had. Say, when Donegal won the All Ireland, what was it, 2012 was it, or 13 back then? They were all big men, and you thought that's the way we have to be. But not anymore. The game is completely.
Like Anthony mentions athletic development, and I keep coming back to something I think Paddy Christie said in 2021, I think, when he was under 21 manager, and he mentioned to me about the culture. And I think it's not just a Tipperary County Board thing. Like, I think there's a culture in a lot of in Tipperary as a whole that they don't quite buy into the S&C thing. It's like the S&C thing is part of the game. Now, why not make it part of your life, that even going to the gym is part of your daily routine, like, and that it's not just because you want to play a sport. And I think that's something where, like, I hate this term, and especially when it more comes to hurling. Tip always have the hurlers and the skill. That doesn't get you very far anymore. You look at the intercounty game, if you don't have the power and the athleticism to go with it, you're going to be left behind. And I think that's where our hurlers are struggling a bit at the moment, and definitely where our football are. I think it's got to be a whole culture change across the board, and Tip, that going to the gym is part of your daily routine rather than just when you're your season playing hurling or football.
And
and I wouldn't say, we have a gym down here in the club, and the lads live in it like that. I don't think gym is the problem, but you never see them going for the run. Until they come training.
Yeah.
Anthony, there was a situation with the physio, even with the Tip footballers this year. Can you sort of give us a bit of insight into
that? Yeah, well, I suppose, with the player charter now, the county board have to provide, and this would be no different for the hurlers, right? They provide, you get one physio for the league and 2 physios for the championship, right? And the county board provide that, and they did. And they had a physio in the, can't remember his name, not important. But apparently was very, very good and very popular with the lads. But myself and Paul Kelly had some falling out. I think the physio, anyone who's over a team, you always think the physio or your first aider are too cautious or something like that. But they found out over whether a player needed an extra week or two, and Paul then decided that he wanted to bring in his own physio. So that physio was replaced. The new guy came in, not 100% sure what they were. The new guy was from Kildare again, so maybe it was just he decided, you know what, the travelling is too much or whatever. But he only lasted a week and a half, or 2 weeks max, and he was gone. And despite the best efforts of the football board and the county board, I suppose when you're after getting rid of 2, maybe 3 physios, because there would have been 2 physios appointed the first time, so the 2 of them went out. And you're after getting rid of 2 or 3 physios, it's going to be very hard to get another one to come in and work with you mid-season. And Claire Cummins-Cawley, who was the masseur, Dr. Paul Scully, they stepped up and they double job basically. I think they thought they were only double jobbing for a week or 2, but it's a situation that developed, and then as we couldn't get a physio, Paul seemed happy enough to work away with them as the physio.
In light of that, it doesn't seem like a shock that there was a parting of ways, Shane.
Oh, look, no. I think you think about like inter-county GAA is effectively a professional. It's a professional sport, and like the physio is so important now, particularly with injuries and like the new calendar where there's more games than ever before. Like you've got to be able to turn over, you've got to be able to recover as quick as you can without cutting corners. And then you see like Stephen O'Brien and his troublesome hamstrings, like he broke down a couple of times this year. Connor Sweeney, did he play a bit too long against Antrim? He didn't play since. I don't think he played against Sligo, did he?
He did.
He must have broke down after that. And that's coming off 15 months out. So like there's always the risk maybe when you're that, but that's you'll break down in some other area of your body. It's not a good look, and if you were going into next year, like how do you appoint a new physio or 2 new physios? Like there's no shortage of physios in the county, and people that would love to have it on the resume that they work with the Tip footballers. But as Anthony said, if word gets around that they've gone through 2 or 3 the previous year, physios might be reticent to say,
well,
what am I getting involved in?
And to be fair, I don't think you can put the lack of a physio on the county board or the football board. This was purely down to Paul Kelly, and with him gone, it might be easier to pick up on.
Do you know, unless you want to ask something else about Tip footballers, I might just go on to the football review committee, Shane.
Yeah, no, I just think, I suppose as the year as a whole, look, as Anthony said, we can't fall any lower at senior level. I thought our minor and under 20s from performance and structural point of view in terms of playing a style of football was encouraging. So look, I think we have a platform of underage to build on. Look, in terms of going forward from a manager, look, I'd say it'll nearly have to be internal now, because I just the way the year went, trying to attract an outside manager with profile will be difficult, because we're down at the bottom. We're probably on form, probably the worst team. Because look, you think at Watford picked up results with Longford, and London managed to beat Offaly. So you'd say, there's good football people within the county. I suppose one name that keeps coming into my head is Niall Fitzgerald, but I'm reticent to say, I'd hate to take him away for the 20s, because he's doing such a good job there. Himself and Paddy O'Gorman, Paddy O'Flaherty, Kevin Mulrine, but they're all great Tipperary football people. And I just think he's understanding. He knows the scene. He's played at inter-county level. I'm not telling the football board what to do, but I think he would be my first phone call anyway. And after that, like it's going to be an internal appointment, and if there's no rush to do it, maybe you go to John Owens and said, you know, that meeting you had a few years ago, can we get that meeting together again and just start something, start a conversation, like, and just to see what can be done just to help things along a bit further.
What do you think, LC?
Yeah, just overall, I thought the minors were well structured this year and played a lovely brand of football. Right, it kind of went away from them in the end, and they took a bit of a hammering that they didn't deserve to. You know, the final score did not reflect the game against Westmeath for a finish. But yeah, I just liked the way they went about their business all year. Under 20s had a good year. They drew with Limerick, beat Clare twice, and were competitive against Kerry for a long period. Well, for the first half anyway. So Niall Fitzgerald obviously will be coming into the picture, but I personally, I'd love to see Niall stay with the under 20s.
Yeah.
And I think it might be a job for Niall in 2 years' time. He's been doing a good job there. If you promote Niall, who are you going to get in at the under 20s? So probably
like a lot of next year's under 20s are still there. Like there's a very young one. Like I think there's a chance of upsetting one of Cork or Kerry next year if the same group is there.
And there's a lot of willing people in Tip that I think would get involved, and my first phone call, Shane, would be actually to the former goalkeeper Philly Ryan. Philly's done great work with commercials there over the last 10 years, and either as manager or as coach, and he's brought in. He also not afraid to bring young lads through, and he's been a former Tip minor manager, under 21 selector himself before.
And he's a good personality too. Like if you got a phone call from Philly, and you were on the fence about maybe committing, he wouldn't be slow in talking you around, like so.
And I think he's ideally, like, he takes his football very, very serious. So you would train hard, but you'd have a bit of you'd enjoy it after as well. You have the bit of crack after. So him, there's Charlie McGeever, even if you could get the three of them together, it might be ideal. Like, but that Conor O'Dwyer, in fairness to him, did a lot of heavy lifting last year, traveling the country or traveling the country, talking to people. None of them took it up. I don't think there's any point. Well, I don't think there's any point in wasting time this year. Plus the fact the county board finances will probably, dictate that as well. But I mean, in fairness to Conor, he put a lot of work into trying to get a manager last year. The only thing that they didn't do was they were determined to go external. I think the landscape has changed now, and I'd be fairly. Yeah, but you never know these things, but I'd be fairly sure that it will be an internal appointment.
And Anthony, then just final thing, the Football Review Committee, some of the things that they're considering. So one-on-one throw-ins with the two midfielders, with the other midfielders retreating behind the 45s, all kickouts taken from the small triangle, stuff like you can only give the goalkeeper possession inside their own penalty box, and I think beyond their own 45 or 65. There's a new definition of the tackle with the possibility of allowing one initial contact with the open hand. Stuff like 2 points for a point outside a new 40-metre arc, 4 points for a goal. I'm not sure how much chance you've had to let these kind of sink in, but what are your thoughts on these things that they'll be fine in the next few months?
Quick read of them yesterday. There's an awful lot in it. They're really, they're throwing the kitchen sink at it, aren't they? And you'd be kind of going, right, what's workable, what's not. The one I liked, there was one I was disappointed wasn't in, because I haven't seen it for a long time. I'd like to see 13-a-side trials. I think football is ideal for 13-a-side. It moves the ball quick. Anytime I've been at a 13-a-side game, it's been lovely, and I didn't see that in the proposals. So that was a bit disappointing for me. The 4 points for a goal is very, very interesting, and that's one that could actually come true in the end. I think.
Would it not make teams sit back even more if they're like, well, one thing we're definitely not doing now is conceding a goal?
But it would be, I suppose or would it make him attack more? And the one thing we're going to do now is get a goal. So it's hard. It's hard to know. Maybe it would, but you'd have to see them trialed. I'm not sure how many of these will eventually come in. The pass back to the keeper is certainly one that I think should come in. Then he only receives it inside his own box or outside 45, isn't it? Yeah. So because just too many times you get to the 45, there's nothing really on in front of you. You just go back to the keeper to start again, and that would take that out of it, and it would mean, but teams have to play on the front foot more often. So that's one that I think will definitely come in. I was interested in the 4 points for a goal, but you put second thoughts in my head now, Shane. Yeah, maybe they would.
I wouldn't be a fan of the 4-point goal. I just think that's a massive shift to the scoring system in the GAA, whereas you're changing the value of a goal, whereas the 2 points you're bringing in a new score rather than changing one. That's why I wouldn't get rid of the goal of 3 points. Like I like the idea of the 2-point shot from outside of 40. I'd be interested to see how that goes in the trials. There's no mention of the fisted point, but that doesn't mean it won't be part of the arena. Because I actually responded to that via email to their survey, and I mentioned that because I just think it's, as you mentioned last Sunday or last Saturday, Limerick going through and fisting the ball over the bar. Like, okay, maybe the right decision in the current moment, get the score, but we want to see goals, we want to see saves, we want to see action. So that would be one I'd love, hopefully, and it could be brought in still. The back pass to the goalie, definitely anything that keeps the ball in play, I'd be happy with. I think the advanced mark, definitely, where it has to go inside the 21. And I think they're going to say you'll get the mark, but you can play on to try and get the goal. But if the goal doesn't work out, it'll come back to I hate that thing where just the ball goes in and the player just stops. He doesn't try to take on the man to force the goal. I think we're being denied goals because of the mark the way it is at the moment, that if you give up the mark, you don't go back and take it if you try and force the goal chance. So I like the idea of that. And there's a talk of trying to keep 3 players in your own 65 in the attacking 65. I can't see how that can work. I don't know how that could be monitored. Like how do you know there's already 11 players back when you make unless you put a shot collar on a player, say, okay, there's already 11 players back, you can't go back any further. I don't think that can be monitored at all.
Yeah, at club
That's
level.
a hard one to know.
Yeah.
I do like the idea, and I always thought that the advanced mark should have always been for inside the 21. Like at the moment, you're just kicking at 20 yards, and lads taking it just in 45, and it's a bit ridiculous. And I'd agree with you, Shane, on the fisted point. When I'd be coaching teams, I'd be encouraged to do it if they're coming in from it because it's within the rules. But I felt it's like a form of cheating. It's just too easy an option. Like it's a cop out.
Yeah, I remember last year when Monaghan got the last minute goal to beat Tyrone. I said that he actually took the wrong option because the chances of him scoring that goal were way shorter than taking the fisted point and getting the equaliser. But he took the gamble and he was rewarded, and I think that's what we need. We need he took the wrong decision under the current rules, but it worked out for him taking the shot. Was 8 times out of 10 that shot would be saved. But so I'd love to see that option taken away of just the cop out fisted point.
Another one that will probably come in when it's done is the disappearing foam. Because we've all seen the freeze, like it's and by the time he has kicked it, he's nearly in front of the goal. Like they're all 6 or 7 yards. So that'll be one that will definitely come in. And and I think the advanced mark inside the 21 will be 2 to come in. To some of them, I'm not sure how workable they are. Like you're saying, the shot outside the arc, that means another line on a GAA field. I think they all have to come down to club level. And a lot of the fields you go to wouldn't even have the D marked out, like so. And
Well, like in fairness, I think the one thing about this committee, and in fairness with Jim Gavin, I think they are doing it. It's typical with Jim. He's not hanging around. Like they've done so. They've nearly probably done 2 or 3 years work in a few months. Like, and they're showing what needs to be done. And don't be hanging around with things. Just go and get it done. They're not throwing the freshers under the bus by trialing at them. Like they're saying, okay, I'm sure there'll be some of the Tipperary footballers will be at these these rule trials over the next few weeks, because they're out of the championship, and of course they're doing it while there's no club championship matches on. Like I think, like I've got to give Jim Gavin so much credit. Like he's really thought this through so well so far.
And I'm right in thinking he has another 12 months work left in this. That
well, I think
6. Am I right?
I think if whatever proposals they nail, they'll be coming to special congress in December, and they'll be brought in for the entirety of next year, including the championship. Like they won't be cut out. Like, so it's they'll be coming in, like I say, essentially like on spec. Like unless one goes really badly and you have to cut it out mid screen. I don't know, but I when you have a person of Jim Gavin's caliber leading this thing, I think you get a lot more people on board to say, okay, these boys are doing it for the good of football. And like the one thing with football at the moment, and even in the really big games, the murmuring of the crowd when the ball was being laterally passed over and back, there's no action in that. We need to get proactive attacking teams trying to score instead of teams are more worried about not being turned. Like the key stat in football now is turnover. How many scores do you get off turnovers? Like whereas in hurling now with Limerick it's shots. How many shots do you get away? Like I think there's got to be a move away from the turnover, right? And where the primary route to scores now in football is turnovers. That's worry. That needs to be shifted.
What did Limerick end up with last week? But they got 112 off turnovers. Was the stat I seen.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work to be like, but I mean, you have to say, like, they need to look at the championship structures as well, because what we're looking at on the telly here on Sundays and Saturdays at the moment, you couldn't class that as entertainment. Compared to the hurling championship, particularly the Munster championship. I know lads that are volunteering to push trolleys around Dunn stores on a Sunday afternoon just to avoid watching the game, watching the football on the telly. And what are the Tailteann Cup, 24 games to eliminate 5 teams. The All-Ireland Series, another 24 games to eliminate 4 teams. There has to be more jeopardy in it than what's currently there. And I think it's coming on the back. What makes it worse for me is it's coming on the back of 2 months of provincial championships that are, nearly predetermined, with the exception of Ulster, who's going to be in the finals and who's going to win them. So it's such a long build-up of boring stuff. And I don't think anybody at this stage is going to be bothered tuning into the football championship until it gets to All-Ireland quarter-final stage.
Okay, well, Anthony, thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we'll chat again soon, and hopefully with more positive subjects.
Yeah, okay, thanks, lads.
Thanks, Anthony.
Okay, delighted to say we have Sean Flynn on the line. Now, Sean, how are things? Busy couple of weeks being involved with the Laois Hurlers, and unfortunately, at the end of a cliffhanger the other day, Offaly were the ones who came out on top.
Yeah, it was enjoyable few weeks and few months, and Offaly took their chances, and they pounced on our few mistakes we made, but I thought the boys were fantastic. Their attitude, like, we were 7 points down, and that game could have got away from us, and we worked our way back and got level again. And in fairness to them, like, everything we planned for over the last couple of weeks, based on probably the first game we played Offaly, they executed everything we wanted them to do, and you could see that in the number of shots we had. Like, I think we'd only 32 shots against Offaly in the first round of the championship, and we'd 48 on Saturday, and you know. So look, they're good lads. It's a really good bunch. You know, you often hear stories of outside groups, and you know, like I tell you now that's a serious bunch of Laois players that are giving everything, and they really want to hurl for county, like, you know, and they're giving it everything.
Geez, there was a crucial moment when David Dooley soloed through and Keelan Kiley got back in him. You know, there was a goal on there.
Yeah.
There were other chances, of course, that went to Beggar.
Yeah.
Down to him, but that was a key one.
Yeah, it was a serious cover of ground out by Kiley, and yeah, we're kind of disappointed at that, because we actually do a bit of work on that, because there's lots of those type of even Dignan's goal. I mean, the way the game is kind of going now, teams are working the ball out, so you can get those turnovers around 45, 65, and it's actually drilled in, and Shea used to do with the tip seniors, where you're just kind of soloing through and stick passing across to someone else. But look, Dave Dooley's a fantastic hurler. He's come back from Leinster, and he's like a professional athlete there. He really is. He's excellent. But yeah, that was a crucial point, and there was some little crucial points, and even I think the opening 6 minutes of both halves, I think we conceded 1-1 or 1-2 to a point. But look, that's hurling, as you know yourselves now. You can plan all you want, and you can train and everything. It's a lot of stuff is on the day, and some things happen on the day that you know, the chaos of the game, and Crow Park as well. You know, whatever it is about Crow Park, just I don't know what it is. It's just the game just takes another life of its own. So you would be even looking forward to, you know, Limerick and Corks and these teams and Clare getting up into Crow Park and Kilkenny playing each other.
Yeah, I thought it was a beautifully chaotic match. I just thought,
yeah,
there was, both teams had flaws, but that's why I think that the elite, the Munster is kind of misses. Like, it's so structured and so predetermined, and you have to do this with the. I kind of like the fact that both teams they didn't have everything off to a tee, and I like that. And I think you have to allow for mistakes and allow for expression. And look, you play that match again, and Laois don't shoot 18 wides. The pressure of the occasion, maybe two lads taking on shots that weren't on and things like that. That's the way things go. Like, and I think it's tough on Laois, but like, I think that they've come on an awful lot this year. Like, Offaly are going up, but they're going to find it hard next year. But there's no doubt that the McDonagh Cup has worked. Like, it's instead of just getting the big beating off a big dog, you're getting 5, 6, 7 games there. It's a good level of hurling. You have something to aspire to. Look, I'm not convinced about the value of the preliminary quarterfinals. Like, we won't speak about that too much, because I know, Sean, you're playing Wexford this weekend, but I don't think that link is going to stay around for too much longer. And I'm personally, I'd love to see the McDonagh Cup expanded to 8 teams and played with the final and All-Ireland semi-final weekend. It gives an extra 3 weeks of hurling, of training, of, like, what value is it to have Kildare yo-yoing up between the Christie Ring and the McDonagh every 2 years? It's not. I think if you've got an 8-team McDonagh, everybody plays each other once, 7 matches and a final. Like, I think that's a proper structure for that.
Yeah. I do think, though, Offaly, like, just playing Offaly this year in the 2 games, like, Division 1 hurling definitely did in the league, definitely stood to him. And even the first day we played him now, like, the physicality of breaking out of tackles, the difference of playing, say, no disrespect to the other teams who are playing in maybe league, in some of the league games, but when you played Offaly, then just that, you know, even the timing on the ball and rucks and everything, it is a different level. Like, but the McDonagh, it's a good competition, and I just think it needs more promotion. Needs more promotion if it's handed over to TG4 or something like that. Like, there was no launch for the McDonagh even.
Yeah.
You know, we had a game this year where there was no 4th official. We had another game where, referees are under pressure to get people to even, go with them, like, so there is that element to that. I think the condensed nature of having McDonagh and Lee McCarthy games on the same weekend and same day, that does take the light off it. Like, but we kind of said it the time we were playing Offaly in the first round. We were saying we'd have played on a Friday night, like, You know, Friday night on telly, we'd be really happy that pack O'Moore Park or pack Tullamore, and like people will come. You see it the other day, like there was a good crowd.
Like there's little things you could do. Like you could just say if you expand. What have you in the McDonagh? You have currently you have 6 teams, so everybody gets 5 matches, so 3 home, 2 away. Why not have one game around a neutral venue as a curtain raiser? Just say Kerry and Laois play in Semple Stadium before Tipperary play Limerick next year. What'll be wrong with that?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Have me a Kildare playing Carlow in Nolan Park next year before a Kilkenny home game. Like there's got to be thinking outside the box here in terms of how you grow the game. Like, and I that's where I think the provincial councils can be too insular. Like they just focus on themselves but I think they have the scope to do so much more.
Yeah, about the preliminary quarter final. I suppose this time last week you wouldn't even be thinking about it. But look, as the week goes on, you'd kind of be like, all right, getting the focus now. Maybe having a 2-week break, a week, you know, the quick turnaround after playing a final is tough going. Like, and look, to be honest, you have to let lads unwind and have pints, you know, their Saturday night and your Sunday. And I mean, but you know, they have to enjoy. There has to be some reward like that. But no, look, I do think maybe in terms of preliminary quarterfinals, I think teams like Offaly and Laois will improve, and Westmeath would improve from playing Carlow, Wexfords, these type of teams more. John Sartway, and Antrim, you know, and so there's kind of an in between there. I don't know. Do you have 2-tiered Leinster Championship or something like that, and you win? You know, but I don't know what way you do it, like they do in the under-20 championship. I don't know, but like it's just more game. It's more competitive games. You don't want to be beating anyone by 20 points. You don't want to be getting beat by 20 points. You just want competitive games that lads at the start of the year can go, right, we can target games and we can be in games with 10 minutes left, and that's what players want. Like,
did you hang around for the Leinster final after the Joe McDonagh? Jeez, Kilkenny gave Dublin an awful beating.
No, I only watched it back. We got the spuds and we exited very quick and got back down to Portlaoise. But yeah, look, I think a lot of it was down to hurling, lads, wasn't it? Just the sharpness of the hurling and again Crow Park, that Crow Park thing of, you know, there is a difference playing in provincial grounds in Crow Park, like, and I just think Kilkenny opened up. Mullen was everywhere, like, you know, but look, it's like typical Kilkenny, like when there's a bit of question about them, they do pony up, but I still think maybe is 6 still an issue for him? I don't know. You know, I'd like to see him play against a Cork or someone like that now and see how their defence and midfield get road tested, you know. But look, they definitely have the forwards like to hold up the ball and win primary possession. Can they keep the score down at the other end against the Corks and the Limericks, you know?
Yeah, I know. Actually, you might focus on Dublin, but like I think we have to give a lot of credit to Kilkenny. I thought they were very, very sharp. Like, okay, Dublin might have been off the pace, and maybe they got a bit of maybe the stage fright or something. But I thought Kilkenny were just they're ruthless. Like it was like them in their prime a few years ago. They just their slickness of their pass and like everything was just done at top speed. Okay, when you're given Richie Reid a sort of an armchair ride as a sweeper, but like in an attacking sense, he's very, very good. Okay, maybe defensively you could say, okay, he can be got at, but look, if you give him the platform as an ex-goalie, which he is, like they're very good at surveying the field when they're not on the ball. And look, you have Adrian Mullen back. Like Jesus, he was outstanding. Like John Donnelly didn't look like a player who was injured. Owen Cody's still flying it. Like they're purring along nicely. And I just think they're an example to Tipperary, like in terms of they haven't had the underage success with a lot of these lads that we've had, but they're getting way more out of them transitioning to senior level. They're adapting to the modern game, and they're just getting on with it. Really, I think there can be and look at Cody Mullen, like their upper body strength is so impressive. Like, and some of our lads from that under minor and under 21 teams are still like they haven't done an awful lot. So like I think we've been off. We should be nearly looking at them in terms of, okay, what are they doing? How are they able to adapt? Maybe with a lot of not as much underage talent, but they're they're definitely still at the top level, at senior level.
Dublin never got out of the faces though. Like Dublin just played off them, and didn't. I mean, if you know you're going to be out hurled, which they would be against Kilkenny if they just try to play a hurling match, like surely you have to get in their faces, Sean. They never did that.
Yeah, and sometimes you can kind of, I suppose you can try and stop a team so much you forget to hurl yourself, kind of sort of thing. And I do wonder, the one thing about Kilkenny is, look, every player is going to be really comfortable taking the ball in the hand, 30, 40, 50 metre stick passes, and they're able to give them, and you can see that going from Kieran's to up through the underage ranks, and then when they make it to senior. I just thought Dublin, it's hard from their whole game is based on running, and no, in fairness, they stick past their way out against Galway at times. That was against 14 men. But I just thought the difference in even the hurling age, I'd say if you looked at players and from Kilkenny compared to Dublin, you just say straight away that they've so much more hurling done with them. If that's underage, if that's in school, if that's just down the field, is that club championship. I know there's lots of league games in Dublin, I suppose, but and that's the one thing.
Sean, there's 15 football league games while you're trying to play a hurling league game.
Hurling games, see, that's the thing,
It's insane, because I'm in the middle of it at the moment, and I don't think I've trained any of the dual players in at least a couple of months, because you're just letting them survive game to game. They're regularly playing 3 matches in the space of 7 days, and then the odd time when they have maybe 4 days off, you're like, look, just take the evening off. We'll see you at the match.
Yeah, I don't think as a county you can do it, and even in Tipperary, I think, I'm involved with the development squad now as well, and there's a huge crossover between the hurling and football, and they're training, they're training one Friday night and a Saturday morning. They're doing they're playing matches on a Saturday morning. They're basically doing 2 sessions in space of 12, 15 hours, and you're never going to get the best out of yourself. But again, the Kilkenny Club Championship, you're guaranteed 5 or 6 games, at least 6 games maybe in the league, and then you have you have prelim, or you have even a relegation. And I would like to see the number of even club games in Tip upped. I just think we need it. If it means, I don't know how you do it, but I just think we need more games. And the way the North Championship and the Division Championship is getting thrown in now, you're nearly budgeting for having a couple of lads away on holidays. I was talking to one of your players there, Shane, and they were saying that because things were brought forward, that messed up plans of playing in the championship because of weddings and honeymoons and stuff like that. So it's I don't know.
Then in terms of the Munster final the other day, Sean, were you shocked to see Limerick win? And even though it could have been very close at the end, and Mark Rogers had the chance to hit the post and bring it back to 2, and there was still probably 15 minutes to play at that stage, it never felt like they got going. Clare, that is.
No. And in fairness to Clare, I think they should there's a lot of outside noise there now about giving out about how they played and all that. I think they just need to forget about that, not listen to it, because they lost by 6 points. Fair enough. They had goal chances. I think they struggled against the breeze. Their puck-outs struggle in general, but they really struggle against the breeze with the puck-outs, because the ball was only landing around the Limerick 65, and sure, that's where Limerick have bodies every time. But they're still shoving it into Limerick, and Limerick had a few little wobbles there as well, but it's small things, you talk about coaching and all that, but being able to just land ball down top of Garrow Hegarty and he catches a couple of balls under pressure. Now we did think what Limerick do best. I was watching the game from behind the goals actually yesterday, and it was so fun. Mark Rogers was being really honest, and he'd go chasing somebody, and Declan Hannon would hold, and next thing you know, Limerick would win the ball, and Hannon would make a run up through the middle and take the ball, or things like that. Or a wing forward would come in and go looking for work, and next thing Burns would hold his wing, and the ball would be recycled across to him. But I like Limerick stick passing under pressure is phenomenal, and their ability to take the ball under pressure and hold on to it. I always call it a second catch. They only catch the ball once, whereas you see some teams, they have to catch the ball twice. They try and catch it first, and they have to go and catch it again, whether it's at their feet or down low on their body. It just gives them that extra second. But like even for the goal for Hegarty's goal, like Nash had a stick pass across to Hayes. He was under real pressure and his balance was off and everything, and it was still there right at his forehead, and Hayes was able to go take it. But I don't know what you thought, but I think Tony Kelly got a bit of minutes into the legs. I know Cleary was injured coming into the game, or was injured. They had they gave Lean a go in a big game, and he kind of came up to it a good bit. So I still think they're going to be thereabouts if they can get over the quarter final and semi and that dreaded semi final that they can't get over and not overthink it maybe.
You're saying basically that you'll have something to say about that yet with Lee, Sean. He's not committing to being Wexford anyway.
What was the comment the Offaly boy said? We're taking it really serious. We finished drinking on Wednesday.
Yeah, no, I agree with Sean there. I think there's been too much rubbish the last few days. Clare are fading, they're gone, they've lost their, I think that's nonsense. Look, the typical Brian Cody, every game takes on the life of its own. Like, everybody expected a classic last weekend. Look, it just didn't happen. Like, I just wonder, did Clare psych themselves out too much? Like, we kept hearing this hype, they've lost the last two, they have to win this one. They didn't really. Like, the All-Ireland is the one that if Clare won Munster and didn't win the All-Ireland, would it make a huge difference? I don't think it would. Like, it's the All-Ireland that is the one. Like, that build-up, that 28 years, losing the last two, like, they were under way more pressure than Limerick were last Sunday, and it looked like they played under pressure. They made wrong decisions on the ball. Even the half an hour delay, I'd say, probably didn't help them either. Like, to me, like, Limerick dealt with that delay slightly more than Clare. Like, you can expend an awful lot of energy, and how you mentally deal with a delay like that, and even down to the warm. Like, I think a lot of them, both sides had their warm ups pretty much complete by the time the word came through that the match was going. I think Clare's warm up generally is physically demanding. Like, how do you go and do that again? Like, had they expended a bit too much? Because they didn't look like they had the same energy than they had in an awful lot of the other games. And look, I think I'd agree with Sean. Clare wouldn't want to read in too much into this. Look, okay, they were well beaten. It was a 6-point score, but like, Limerick were more commanding than that. But look, Clare had the chances to go an awful lot closer. Tony Kelly can be better. Like, I'm sure if Clare maybe get through the next 2 or 3 games, he'll be better. Ryan Taylor, they might have him back. Who knows? Like, David McInerney probably didn't look fully fit the last week either. Like, they didn't get the best out of Shane O'Donnell in terms of the service. Like, I thought he had a great first half, but he was starved in the second half. So look, I wouldn't I wouldn't write off Clare at all. Come on to Limerick. Look, geez, the thing is, can Limerick find another level? Like, I thought that was their best performance of the year so far. Look, everything suggests that they will find more, that Cian Lynch won't be as quiet. Like, they've got Shane O'Brien, they found another player there. Adam English was strong off the bench. And look, just the way Shane O'Brien played, and you'd say, you look at the under-20 matches, he never stood out. It just shows you the value of Limerick's system. That it really, and even Aidan O'Connor coming on against Cork and getting the point. Every one of those players know exactly what they have to do when they go onto that field. And that's why it makes it so much easier for those young lads to make an impact, because they're never asked to do any more than they're told to do. And that's why they can sort of fit in so seamlessly.
Yeah, and I thought Clare struggled to hit grass the other day into their full forward line. They really struggled. A lot of the deliveries were coming on top of the players, and then, you know, Limerick had their, you know, their 6 or their 5 retreating or 7 retreating then, and it was always a 2v1 or 2v3. No, look, I know you still have to win these balls and dog them out, but it's very hard against Limerick when, like, in fairness, that's one thing Dan Morris is very good at. He's very selfless. He will tap the ball down to someone. He's always not always going for the big catch. And so that's one place. And then, I mean, the opposite side then, like, you know, Limerick hit grass a good few times, and you could just see Galan and Shane O'Brien getting onto those balls. Like,
yeah. Moving on to the Tip minor hurlers this weekend. I'll start off with you, Shane. I mean, it's been 26 days without playing a match, so the upside is James Woodlock had a right chance to work with the players. The other side of it is the Galway minors have had 2 matches in the meantime, so we'll probably take a few minutes to figure out where we're at in this game.
Yeah, look, there's value on both sides. I suppose on the side of having that break after Munster, I suppose that they were able to wind down and enjoy what they achieved in terms of winning Munster, and then getting really 2 good weeks on the training field. And I think that would have done them the power of good. As happy as I was with the Munster final win, I thought in terms of our use of the ball could have been an awful lot better that night. And if that was the one thing they worked on in terms of, like, you look at the inside forwards we have, and some of the ball that was going in was, it, as Sean said, wasn't hitting grass. It was sort of head height and stuff. And when you have Killy Minogue and Stephen Tobin, like, if you give them, and we had enough ball coming out of the backs of midfield to fed them even more quality ball than they did. And if you give them more quality ball, they'll turn it into scores. So, look, I think from that point of view, that maybe that 2 weeks good hurling prep on the training field, like they wouldn't be doing an awful lot this week, would have served them good. On the flip side, Galway are coming in with a bit of momentum. Like they didn't have a good Leinster Group Championship. Okay, they beat Wexford and beat Dublin, but they lost to Kilkenny heavily twice, including the Leinster semi-final. They got a big win over Waterford. Tip had their issues with Waterford. They beat Dublin a second time. So, and I think Galway just find that their team is a bit stronger than it was at the start. I think Harry Holmes missed a lot of group matches. He's back. The strength of that Galway team looks to be in the forwards. So, like it's a hard one to read. It's under 17. You just don't know how young lads off 4 weeks of hearing, God, that's a great win. Like, will they become a little soft? But everything suggests that doesn't happen under James Woodlock. Watch, he'll have them focused. And look, Tip have been very, very good this year. Even the match they lost against Clare, they outscored Clare 19 scores to 15. There's bad goals that night that were conceded. It cost them. They rectified that for the Munster final. Didn't concede a goal. So, I think, look, it's our of the male side of things, it's our last chance of winning an All Ireland this year. And look, it'd be great to get to a final. And look, they're in with a great shout, like we said with minors. And Galway never have a bad minor team. So look, this will go down to the wire, I suspect, on Saturday.
Yeah, and Sean, like, there's a good spread of tip scorers there, like Owen Dunn, Billy O'Brien as a ball winner as well, Stephen Tobin, Ewan Murray, Killian Minogue, Aaron Cagney's been very impressive coming off the bench.
Yeah, I just think they have a nice mix in the forward line. Like, Billy's a bit of a dog and a workhorse, but still he links to play. But then, like, you've Dahan, Ewan Murray, Tobin, Killian Minogue, like you've serious players that, maybe 1 or 2 days, you can't, no team can probably shut them all down, like, So you're guaranteed a couple of them are going to come up trumps here. But no, they're a fine team, and they really they just play hard, don't they? It's real, it's real kind of, I don't know, Jurgen Klopp kind of heavy metal style hurling. Like, it's just pure up going for it, and it's really refreshing to see, actually, isn't it? Even those games, they are refreshing to see, and like they use the ball well and everything. And I'd say, like, it's under 17, but like there are some players now coming that they will probably graduate fairly quick onto the 20s, like, and there's a good few, like that team, I'd say there's a lot of that team underage next year, I'd say, as well. So it'll be a good 2 years for minors. But like, again, it's back to the thing, do we have the facilities and do we have the money to develop these lads in the areas off the field?
Yeah, just in terms of your thoughts on maybe on the 20s and what you saw from the seniors this year, like where do you feel we're at? Like, I do think, going back to last Saturday, I'd say a lot of Offaly people actually, when they saw Adam Screeney struggle a bit on it, you put a big physical corner back on him, and it just shows you that how far Screeney's got to go to even survive, even at McDonagh level, with a big corner back who's just bigger than him and can negate you with pure size and stick and tight. That it actually wasn't a bad thing for him to happen. And in terms of that sense, okay, that he's only 19, he's a couple, and as Leo Connors keeps saying, like, these lads, it's going to be 3 and 4 years before they hit their peak.
Yeah, it's tough for him. Like, he's a marked man before you.
Yeah.
you know, like but him and Burke, like Burke was a fantastic hurler. And he caused us issues now the first day as well, and he played a different role on Saturday, and it took us 20 minutes probably to get used to that. But with Tip, look, the results aren't there, and look, I do think Liam Cahill is under a lot of pressure in terms of probably trying to keep up with the resources that other teams have, and it starts there. Like it does start there, and I've heard that Liam Cahill has put crazy time and effort into raising money for this Tip team, which no Tip manager should be doing.
Yeah.
I think that should be handed to him, and you know, he managed Waterford for 3 years, and he got them to All-Ireland finals and Munster finals and won leagues. Like, you know, he should, if you give him the right resources, he should be trusted. And I do think that feeds a bit into the performances and stuff like that. In terms of the hurling on the field, you know, I just think maybe at the moment, I know people say we struggle for pace, but like if you look through that Limerick team, even like they're not 15 speedsters either. Like, you know, I just think,
But they're
you know,
athletic.
they're athletic.
Yeah.
Physical, yeah. I just think, yeah, like I just think we need to be able to go for longer physically in games. I think we're able to go for the 30 minutes and we're able to go for the 25 minutes. So I think that's to work on. I like, even there's not many players out there, lads, that are sitting at home that you know, that should be on the panel. So like, we're just in that scenario, and you read into everything. You can read into tactics, you can read into all the things, but I just think we have to write it out now. And I think the big thing though is, lads, we're like we've no centre of excellence. You know, I go up to Laois tonight, like, and no disrespect to, like, Laois is a small county, and it's probably easier to have a centre of excellence in a small county. But like, you see it there tonight. Now you walk from the dressing room into the gym, onto the pitch, back in for your food. Like, the gym is there for everyone to use. Like, I just think maybe we need two centre of excellence. I don't know, but not to have a centre of excellence, not to have a place where players can go and do their gym work away from the public and things like that. You know, all those sort of things. Not having, you know, I know Dr. Morris is there and it serves a purpose, but like, Dr. Morris is good it was good 20 years ago. Now you need a lot more. You need a lot more facilities, and yeah, I just think.
Well, I do like the idea of what having regional hubs was like. I don't think this idea of maybe Bonnermar having to go to Thurles to do a gym session is right.
Yes.
Like you've got to make it slightly easier. Like maybe one day of the week you have to go to Thurles and meet up as a group. But like, I think there's got to be. I think so much has got to the table. Like Dr. Morris Park, a lot of ways was ahead of its time, but now we start kind of falling behind. What would be the thoughts of putting Dr. Morris Park up for sale? Like, imagine the amount of houses that could be built in there, and build a new centre of excellence outside Thurles on a greenfield site where you have the scope to, and maybe if there was extra funds, you'd maybe Nina or Cashel, you do have a sort of a regional hub, or maybe 4 regional hubs, one in each division. Like, I do think Tipperary is at where everything has got to be on the table in terms of how we maximize our resources going forward. Even Semple Stadium, and I know it's just unfortunate last weekend with the power cut, but God, the timing of it when things are the Cavendish County champions. What's that got to do with the quality of our play? Like, people are saying our quality of our county championships is. I think we've actually got our championships right. Like, so the quality of the play is purely up to the clubs to get the standard up. Like, so that's nothing got to do with.
Yeah, structure. Like it's just I don't think we've enough money, and I don't think we're going looking for enough money. I think, you know, like, look at off. I was just looking there before a while ago, and Offaly and Laois. If you put Offaly and Laois together, you still have more clubs in Tipperary than Offaly and Laois. Yet they have nearly up to 30 games development officers, whereas I think in Tip we have
7.
We've less than 7 or 8, you know, and it's such a big place. So I think it starts there. I really think we should be looking at getting, you know, into schools. I see Kilkenny there; they're doing excellent, like even functional movement for for kids and stuff like that. I really think we need to be doing all those sort of things. And it's still no guarantee that you're going to have a senior team at the end of it. But like, I just do think, I think it's a great time now to actually go after it, because, you know, when the results aren't there at senior level, it's easier sell. It's an easier sell. If you're winning All Ireland, it's probably a harder sell. And it's a tough place for the senior players at the moment. But I really think we need to, you know, and look, I'm not giving out about anyone in the county board. They're obviously doing their best, but like, we need more money. Like, Semple Stadium doesn't look like it's fit for purpose anymore in terms of the, you know, facilities. We need at least one or two regional hubs. You're right. I think we should. And like, if it went half and half for the club, go half and half for the club, and say, right, we'll take so many slots a week in the gym or on this, you know, if it's an astro pitch or whatever it is. But I think we really need to up our game, and like, we have, in fairness, like, we have a recognisable brand, like that Tip jersey is one of the most recognisable brands in Irish sport. I guarantee with loads of people up in Dublin that are probably doing well for themselves, in London, in New York, all these places. Like, and the issue I have is, like, Billy O'Shea was brought in as the commercial director, and he left, and I know he left because he's probably tearing his hair out, the bit of hair he's left out, but we never replaced him. Like, you know, I think we need a director of hurling. I don't think he
was ever the commercial director. I think he suggested the role, but he would have been ideal for it.
Yeah, well, he was in some role anyway with the county board.
I think he was within the senior remit, I think, of Liam Sheedy at the time. Like, so.
But I just think, just so much we could be doing, and to raise money, and I do think it's down to the Michael Digan thing. You can go in over the senior team, take over the senior team, and think you can change everything. It's going in as chairman. It's going in as, I know there's a chairman there, but what I'm saying is, if there needs to be another committee, you know, that just really focus on hurling, money, facilities, what's going on, you know, etc. You know, because we have to do something now. We have to roll the dice now and try something different, like, you know.
Yeah, just it's never a positive topic in the last while when we're talking about any of this.
Isn't it? Yeah, but like, I know. Yeah, I can even look at the Clare game. Like, lads gave everything in the Clare game. The 20s got to an Ireland final.
Yeah,
you know, but like, again, you know, they lost the final, and fair enough. But like, the music went down really quick then again, didn't it? Like, it's just we're nearly scared this stage.
I see there's a comment there about demanding. So I suppose we've just had a tradition of, we expect to compete every year, and that's not a bad expectation to have. Like, and I don't think any Tipperary fan and any Tipperary person should ever not expect. And I suppose, look, it's the supporting is a worry that, like, even when we get to an All Ireland under 20 final, was there 6,000-7,000 Tip supporters at Nolan Park? I'd say that's all there was. Will there be many more will there be any more than 3,000 or 4,000 total between Tip and Galway and Limerick next Saturday? That's probably all there's going to be. Like, so there's no doubt about it. There's sort of there's definitely an apathy within the county at the moment. How you turn that around, I suppose. Even say, look, we had minor and under 20 success this year to us. That hasn't really inspired anything. I don't know. It needs an injection of something somewhere. What that is, I don't know.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, it's just, look, it's probably the way people are gone now. Like, they'll really you know, they'll go after teams, successful teams. They'll support it. But in terms of the 20s, I suppose, I don't know. Like, I suppose Offaly we're always going to feel it. Like, there was probably more Offaly people at the 20 final than there were at the McDonagh final. Like, you know.
Yeah.
I felt that from the sideline, even, you know, with the last 10 minutes of the game. But I don't know. I just think, I think we're probably competing with other things now, and I do still think we're in Tipperary, we're still relying on clubs and families to pull the whole thing along, and then we get them at a certain age, and then we take them on. I really think we need to do more. Even at a younger age, like, I really think I see now in one county they're doing a Satanta program in Laois, and it's excellent thing. Under 11s, they're bringing clubs can bring in as many under 11s they want, every Wednesday night, and they mix up the teams. And I was just talking to one father, and he said, "Jez," he said, he actually, one of his young lads wasn't too into hurling, and he went up and played that the first night, and he realised, he says, "Jez," he says, I've lots of work to do now to get up with the camera spies." John, that was his attitude, like, and he was out pucking that night again, like. So I just do, like you see it there when you're working with development squads. Lads are playing soccer, they're playing Kennedy Cup, they're playing football, they're playing rugby, they're playing everything. And I know early specialisation, they say, isn't but like, we're probably not getting them back for a long, whereas before you might get them back very quickly after under 14 or 13. You're not getting them back as quick now because they're going to stay playing those things for the enjoyment and stuff. So I do think we need to do lots of things in Tip to just, keep lads engaged, with the whole thing.
Because it's not all bad. Like I said, the camogie
No.
team, I think, are giving us don't forget about them. Like, they're going really well. Like, and I think they're definitely a team that we could get in behind for the rest of the year. And yeah, I just love to see outside the box thinking. I just think, even down to supporters club, do we need a supporters club for hurling, football, and camogie? Why not have one? Like, do we need to have all the little I just think the whole thing could be simplified so much more. Like, it could do it. I'm not saying it needs a rebrand, but it could do it a right good group of people coming together. But this is what it needs. It versus social media. Like, you see some of the videos that the Offaly teams that done for every match on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, like the little things like that engage. It just engages people, and it just makes it feel like, oh God, I must go to the next game. Right? This team seems like something that we should really get behind as well. Like, so.
Yeah, there's a lot in it, like, and look, it's tough, but it's tough. Like, a lot of people are doing these jobs with the county board and they're not paid, like,
No, and they're doing as best they can.
Yeah, I just think there needs to be. I just think we need to open up the doors and get more people in. Like, everyone's going on about Limerick having 52 or 3 people on their backroom team, but like, I'm sure if the door was open to people and they were given a free rein on things, they'd make cut it. Like, I always say, I mean, if you look at UL is very close to us. I mean, there's surely people doing business studies there. Every year they go out in their co-op, and in third year, like, why can't we have a scenario there where we're pulling marketing shoots and stuff like that out for the co-op and work with Tip GAA every year? Like, you're going to get young people with new ideas, etc., like that.
Well, look, positive stuff as ever. But look, it is good to be throwing around ideas. I will say. Any final thoughts before we let you go, Sean? You've been good with your time.
I just looking forward to the club championship now, and I suppose it's going to be launching over the next week or two. And I just hopefully, like, I suppose we get a good club championship, and I really hope the divisions go well this year. Now, to be honest, I think it's important. I just think we were kind of lucky in a way with the divisions this year that Tip are out early, but I just think they need to be retained. And hopefully now, like, I just know from even talking to some of the Burgess lads, like, with the Premier Intermediate, like, there's only 4 teams in it, so they're really looking forward. Like, it's a chance, an opportunity to try and get to a final, So and Shane, you won it last year, like, so you know the enjoyment you get out of it. So looking forward to the club championship now, and just hoping now, Laois, we can give a good performance on Saturday now against Wexford. Finished,
Okay, well, look, Sean, really appreciate it, and we'll chat again. Best of luck with Laois at the weekend.
Not about it. We'll talk to you, guys. Thanks.
Okay.
Said that we were all interviews and pictures for minor players. We're not allowed to interview minor players as far as ours. You can't give them player the match or something. We're limited in what we're allowed to do. Like, so, but definitely, like, if we had more, I don't know if you weren't at the All Ireland launch yesterday, and
couldn't make it.
Like, just saw some of the interviews I was listening to on the radio last night. Really good stuff, like lads talking about it, and it wasn't just hurling. It was great actually listening to them just talking about their life experience and the culture. Even I think with Seamus Flanagan was talking about family. Like, there's so much, like, there's so much that can be done to help improve the promotional aspect of games too. Like, and small things like that make a huge difference.
Yeah, and like even within the club championship in the next while, over the next number of months, the more access there are to players, which there probably won't be, the
In
better.
fairness to the North Board, like they're having a launch next Saturday morning of all the 3 championships. All captains and all managements are coming in. Like I'm sure all the matches will be shown through Clubber, and I'm sure maybe there'll be little clips in the build up to each game just to try and promote it. And I suppose this night next week we'll be kicking off Borsley against Killadangan. Look, once we get into the teeth of that club championship, I think the inter-county championship will be long forgotten at that stage.
And just like as you mentioned, that might as well talk about some of the games that were played in the county championship over the weekend, like the Division 1 final. Upper Church beat Drum and Inch after extra time. That was 26-121. The Division 2 saw Cashel King Cormac's beat Clonakilty 215-15. Division 3, Ballingarry had 11 to spare over Moneygall. Division 4, Mile Rovers beat Carrickdavins. Division 5, Thurles beat Latin Cullen. And Division 6, Emily beat Newcastle.
Yeah, no, this was the Upper Church winning Division 1, even though it being a Premier Intermediate team. Like, it was a fair scalp for fair achievement for them. Look, in fairness, I think they were one of the clubs that didn't have too many players caught up with under 20 and senior squads this year, so they were really able to have a right good go at it. And how would you say? It just shows you like that they're really anxious to get up out of Premier Intermediate straight away. When it comes to championship, they'll be red hot favourites, but that brings its own pressure as well. Like, because you only assuming they get out of their group, if you have one off day in the knockout stages, it can all go belly up. And look, they only know from the last couple of years they went from county semi-finalists in 2022 to being relegated last year, so like the margins are fairly tight. So a great win for them. And like, I think the league is a very, very good the county league is a good competition. I just think it loses a bit of juice in May because a lot of group matches are over. I'd love to see it extended, maybe get rid of the semi-finals and maybe give every club maybe an extra 1 or 2 guaranteed matches before a final or something like that, before the divisional championship start. And look, as Sean said, they're starting next week. I'd expect most clubs will be maybe down a body or two, maybe lads who have been told to be back for late July, early August for county. Look, you make plans, and I know we one of our players get married this weekend, and he'll be away for our match against Nina as his honeymoon. Look, we just get on with it. It's still going to be a very, very good competition. I suppose the Wednesday and Thursday night, that's what people are wondering, like, why are they playing matches on the Wednesday and Thursday? That is because of, I think Borsley have a wedding. I think Shane McCormick is getting married, so that match has been brought forward by a couple of days. Same with Killer One as well. So look, but I still think we'll get good crowds on midweek nights in June. Like, you'll have a lot of daylight, so I do expect good crowds at those midweek matches anyway. And then onto the following weekend when was it Noranina and Roscrea Tomb. So plenty of hurling to get our teeth into in the club over the next, probably starting next week.
And the Camogie team had a good win the other day against Antrim. 117-16 points was comprehensive.
Yeah, 117 to 6 points. Yeah, and that was a tip team where they rested an awful lot of key players. Like Karen Kennedy didn't play, Cueva Maher didn't play. A few more, I think, a few more were rested. A few more got game time. So look, they were expected to win. They got the win. I suppose Dennis Kelly not overly pleased with the performance, and I think that's good to hear in terms of he's setting a high standard. Like, he was making no excuses, like, in terms of, look, we should have kicked on and done it a bit more. They got the win. They get a chance to refresh now. They'll be expected to beat Limerick next week away from home, and then it sets up the key game in the group against Kilkenny at home, and the last weekend win that, they're straight into an All-Ireland semi-final. So it's big couple of weeks now. In terms of just stay the course, stay on the front foot, build on the momentum they've had, like the good win over Waterford in the group stage, and just ensuring that when they get to, what is it, the All-Ireland semis are the Saturday before the All-Ireland, so it'll be around the 20th of July that they're ready to peak that weekend for Nolan Park.
And then finally with the Tipperary ladies footballers, so well beaten by Kerry, had a good performance against Cork, then beat Waterford. So this weekend now it's against Armagh.
Yeah, 3-team group. Armagh beat Meath by a point last weekend. So like Armagh have a game under their belt, even though with all the injuries, Amy Mackin been injured. It just shows you, look, Armagh have a deep squad. National League Division 1 champions. So look, just shows you where Tipperary are up against. But look, Tip had a good Munster championship. Very unlucky not to beat Waterford. Very unlucky not to have beaten Cork. So like they've improved throughout the competition. Maybe it'll be a tough ask against Armagh on Saturday evening in Thurles, but look, they can really go in and have a good go. I think the key game will be away to Meath. Like that'll probably be the one that'll determine who finishes second and maybe gets to a quarter final. I think Tip will probably keep their senior status. I think Laois look by far and away the weakest team in senior grade and probably will fall back and will be relegated. So like I think Tipperary can really go hard at these two games and hopefully maybe get one result. Like a one win will get them to an All-Ireland quarter final, and that would be great for them.
Okay, geez, we've covered an awful lot in the show this week. So yeah, hopefully the Tipperary minor hurlers as well as the ladies teams we've talked about get the job done at the weekend.
Yeah, I suppose we'll be looking into the club championship next week, so it's never quiet.
Yeah, no, okay, thanks very much, Shane. Chat to you.